Please note, when you're adding joining text, you can usually get away with about 1 millimeter overhang, which protrudes out of your face of the surface that you're adding the text to. If you do more than 1 millimeter, then generally you'll have to add some type of support. Hi everyone, my name is Rick, and I want to just show you how text works in pretty much all the different slicers, but for sure this way in Orca and Prusa and stuff like that, because they've all come from the same free slicer programs. So anyways, this is Maker World, and you can download these little container files off here. And this is made by, it looks like the guy's name is Arc 3D Printing. They're kind of neat little containers. I think I've printed them out before, but they have a slide top on them. And it says you can customize this one right here. And he's got another version that doesn't get customized, but it's kind of a lot of new people print this kind of stuff out from Maker's World, which is fine. But I just wanted to show you where the file came from. So if we go here, I've got the file opened, and this is SnapMaker Orca, which is pretty much the same as any of the other Orcas. And here's what it looks like. Now all I did is I just went up and clicked on the add right here and imported that .3mf file. And I did change some stuff around because this is actually set up for a SnapMaker U1. And I can delete this 5th filament because there's only 4 tool changers on the SnapMaker U1. But this is how it imported, and this is how it looks. Now, here's the text shape that they're saying you can customize. And if we go back to that, it says, if you go down right here, it says go to process objects, then select text shape, then press T or navigate to the text shape tool. Customize, change font, size, shape, location. To move the text, drag the yellow cube around the object into the desired. Now, I don't know for sure, because maybe if you brought this into Bamboo, and I'm pretty sure that he used Bamboo to create the file, maybe it would be a text object. But if we go over here and look, well, let me just create a text object to begin with, okay? So I'm going to just click on the lid. That's one thing you always have to remember, is you always have to, unless you're going to put it out, just on the build plate. But if you want to attach it to something, you got to click, like this is the lid. Here's how it looks. Okay, this is the lid sitting flat. Now, anybody that 3D prints, you always want to put your flat down. This is a little lip that hooks on this lip on the bottom of the container. And so this is the best way to print this part. You got a very small overhang, so you wouldn't need any supports. And you wouldn't flip this over, because then you'd have to support the bottom because you have this lip here. So anyways, what I want to do is show you the 3 different ways you can make text on here and why that's not text. And it might, like I said, it might be the way that it got imported. So I'm going to select the lid right here. Then I'm going to go up here to the text tool. You can also just push T. And the first thing it comes up with is embossed text. Now I'm just going to change that to join, because I want to show you the differences of what you can do with this. And to begin with, I'm just going to click. Well, I'm gonna move it over. Okay, and I'm going to click out of here, and we're going to go over here, and we're going to look at it. Now, the text shape is what came into the when I downloaded it, and I'm like, wow, well, that should be the text, but it's not the text. If you look below it, where we see embossed text right here, this is the text that I just made. And as I look at this text, there's 3 little icons that can be next to that T. This one's going to be the join. That's a positive. Then we could have a negative for cut, and then we could have the modifier one also. And all three of them work in different situations. Now, right now, I can go, because this is embossed text, it's join, I can right click on this right here, and I could click edit text if I wanted to go back into editing, or I could also hit change filament, and I could put it on my second filament color there. And if you look over here, it turned black, and it is a raised text. So if I left mouse click and hold down my left mouse button, I can orbit that, and you can see that is a raised text there. Okay, so on his, or whoever the file I got from, says text shape. Now we don't see the text shape because we'd have to orbit all the way underneath, and there's the text shape that he's talking about right there. And if I click on that text shape, it highlights it. I can move it around and stuff like that, but it's not editable text. And like I said, it could be because I didn't bring it into Bamboo Orca. Maybe it would change. But anyways, it doesn't really matter. But I just want to sit there and show people, if I right click on this, I'm never going to be able to edit this text. Now I can change the filament color, but I'd never be able to edit it. Let's see something here. Edit, and yeah, see, that's just where stuff prints on the page, on the layers and stuff like that. So anyways, if you sit here and you just start clicking on it, it's never gonna be editable. Whereas if you clicked on the text that we just made up here, so if you right click, you can get edit text or change filament down here. But if you click on it in the model over here, double click on it, it'll bring up the text. And this is all your different settings you could have for text. So you can grab anywhere here in the black, you can grab that. And let's go ahead and lock our caps here, and let's go ahead and change that to capital join. It doesn't matter, I'm just showing you how this thing works. This is where you select your font. So wherever you want to select it, I think you can put, looks like it doesn't scroll, okay? That's fine. You guys know how to use that, but there's Arial black right there. So I could go over here and grab it because it's too close to that edge. I could click join. Now, this is where we size it up and down. So right now it's at 9. So I could put it at 14 and it'll automatically change. You don't have to hit enter or anything. So I'm going to go back and put that back at 9. It changed back to 9 millimeters. You can hit the plus and minus button. Now this 1 millimeter right here where it says depth, that is how far it comes out from your face or the object. So you could print this right here because the flat part is on the bottom. You never want to put this between your build plate and the model because then you'd have to add support. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second. So anyways, we got this coming out 1 millimeter. And if you use surface or per glyph, use surface is kind of nice. Say you got like a dragon model or something that you've made and some little kid wants his name on it or something. You could actually put their name on it and click on use surface, and those letters would kind of take the exact shape of your dragon or whatever you're putting it on. And then if you look at it and the ends don't look quite right, or the text or font doesn't look quite right, then you would just hit check per glyph also. And you'd have to mess around with that, but eventually you can kind of click enough settings on here to get it to look normal. Now this is the advanced part here, so you do have to click on that advanced arrow. And you can do, like if you have a bunch of text, you can do all your alignments like anything else, your line spacing. Pretty much all this stuff is the same as, you can lock your rotation also. Set text to face the camera is kind of cool because whatever direction you're looking at here, you can change that to look at it. Like right now, I changed to that angle and I do this right here. See how it changed the angle of that? Now it did spin it around, but it does change it to the exact angle that the camera's looking. And it doesn't like that. See how it aimed that text into the object there? It's kind of cool. I don't normally ever use that, but I could see a point where you might use it. Now, another thing, as we go through this lesson of what text does, style is, right now we just got it on normal, but you can save all of your settings, and then that way when you come back and you want to use that exact setting, you can just pop that in there, and you don't have to worry about doing all that stuff. That's a nice feature. So here's our 3 different types of text we can make. We can make the join, which adds it above the face. We can make cut, which cuts it out of the face or the object. And we got modifier. And when we do a cut, we can't change the color. We're only cutting into the object. But if we do a modifier, we can cut into the object and change the color. So we can cut into it and then add our color in there, and I'll show you what we're talking about here. So this is the join, okay? So if I click anywhere out of that, we're going to be done with the join. Let's double click on that. Now we're back to editing here, and let's make this smaller. Let's make that 6. And we're going to move it over to the side here. Okay? So I'm going to just click anywhere to get out of there. Then I'm going to click on the lid again, because we got to click on whatever we're wanting to put our text on. Then I'm going to hit the text button. You can push T. And now I'm going to go up here, just highlight this, got my cap locks on, and I'm just going to push cut, or type in cut. Now cut, same way, we're going to know with our depth. If we go here and we click cut, we're going to cut in 1 millimeter. And I'm going to go ahead and take this and move it up. And I want to show you something kind of cool about how these things work too. Let's go ahead and, well, let's see here. Okay, so I'm clicking out, and right now I've cut into this, into our model. Okay, now it's not showing there because I think we're gonna have to slice it, and then let's see what it does. And this computer is a little bit slow. Okay, now see how it did cut into it? And if we go down to the bottom, you can actually see that it cut all the way through that, because it's thicker than 1 millimeter. The cut is. This lid isn't very thick. So if I go back to prepare, that's where you do all your designing in prepare. Preview is when you actually slice the model. So if I bring this down and I look through there, it doesn't show through there, but it will when we slice it. Now if we look over here at our, we had join, the first text, and then we had the second text. See how we got a positive for join, and we got a negative for cut. Now if I click on cut over here and I right click, I can edit the text, but I can't change my filament color because we don't have any filament. All we've done is cut a hole into the lid here. Okay, now if I double click on this and go back and change this depth right here to, well, we'll bring it about to 0.7. Click anywhere out of here, go over, and we'll go ahead and slice that. Now when I look at it, it didn't cut through because the 0.7 of a millimeter. You can see our cut here, which kind of looks nice. I mean, you can mark parts and stuff like that. But if I go up and I go over on the other side, it didn't cut all the way through. Okay? Which is kind of what we wanted to do. Now, if we go back to prepare, now none of these things work in the preview, the slice portion of the program here. This just shows it sliced. And all you have to do if you want to see this is this brings your model all the way up. So if we're looking at the model, that's in full size right there. Now if I do this right here from left to right, that just takes that last layer and it takes that layer to where it starts here. So it starts at a 0. So this is my last layer up here. That's layer 70. And if I look at this, it's as we come down, this is our actual height right here, this 1405. That's the height in millimeters. Then we're also seeing that black on there. That's the actual time it's going to take to print that, okay? And you can also look in here at what's going on also, about how long it takes to print and all that kind of stuff. It's telling us its total time is going to be 32 minutes, 3 seconds. So if we look over here, we're at 32 minutes, 3 seconds. It'll also tell you how many layers you have. Well, we got 70 over here. I think somewhere it tells you about layers. Also, if you ever want to, so if now we're at the start of that 70th layer, which is our last layer. So if we move the slider over right here, that's where we can see our extruder, and that's where that's what the print's actually doing on the last layer. So it's kind of cool to be doing that. Now, if I wanted to go back to the very start of my print, I bring this all the way down. Then I have to drag this all the way over here to the left. And you can see right here when I start printing, it starts printing the lid first. Now it's printing the gray around it, but it hasn't cut it out because it's not really cutting out. It's just really not printing that part. See it going there? Then it's adding a layer. Now it's coming back to do the other part of the container. And that right there, that's our first layer finished. Now, if I want to go left and right, I can push my left arrow, and all it's doing is it's doing the same thing with the mouse right here. So I can left and right arrow back and forth there. Or over here, to go up and down a layer, if I don't want to use my mouse, then I can just up arrow or down arrow. So this is just showing you exactly what's going on in your model as it's making the model, okay? So one thing kind of neat is that you can actually, now I moved the wrong deal here. I moved the bottom slider, okay? So if you want to see layers in between, you can do that right there. So that's just going to show those layers from layer 31 to layer 44. So that would be 6.25 millimeters, the height, 31st layer, and this would be up to 8.85 millimeters, the 44th layer. So if I bring that all the way back up, it's going to show me the top of it. If I bring it all the way back down, then that's my full model right here, okay? So, and also too, if you ever want to learn G-code, this is how all this stuff works. CNC machines, embroidery machines, plotters, printers, everything works on a type of G-code. And if you want to see that, just push your C, and then you can follow your G-code, and you can see where it starts on your G-code. Now you're going to have a lot of stuff above this. Like we're at line 56,469. Now that's the end of it though. So the very start of this G-code right here is starting at line 260. Well, the start of the movement for this extrusion with this 3D printer is starting at line 260. You have a bunch of lines before that we can't see that are telling the printer all kinds of stuff, like do a depth test, do filament extrusion tests, move to this point, start the bed heater, start the extrusion temperatures. There's all kinds of stuff that's programmed into this before that. And there are programs that you can use, text editors, to see what they say, okay? So I'm going to go back over here to make this, finish that first layer. Then I'm going to bring this all the way up here. And sorry about that. But it's kind of nice for people to know this kind of stuff because they do ask about this, and if you read or can watch a video like this, it's easier to learn. Now this right here, this white part right here, this is our seam. And you get a seam on every layer where it restarts the print. And right here's our seam. So if we click that, we can turn that off. See the eyeball go away over here? If we click it again, we can turn that seam on. And you're always going to have seams on the inside and the outside. See the same difference over here. And same on this print right here. Wherever it restarts and stops, you're going to see that seam, which you kind of don't notice them. But that's what the white things are. Because I know people have been like, oh my goodness, I have white in here and I'm not even using white. Well, that's the reason. So you can't do anything about having seams, but you can move them around. But the program usually just puts them in a line, and that's usually the best way to have them. So this, now we know what join and cut does. So if we go back to prepare, where we actually do our designing, we can see them right here. And I showed you how to not cut all the way through, but you can play with those adjustments. So what I wanted to show too is I'm going to actually double click on this right here. And now we're back into the edit of the first text that we made called the join text. Okay. And I'm going to make this real small. I'm going to make it, let's make it 2 millimeters. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to zoom in here. And I want to show you, everyone, how this text will change when it hits the lip here. So if we go back and double click on the text and we start moving the text, because the lid was our object that we selected, when we get to this face right here, this text changed to take on the shape of that object. Same way here, when we go here, it does the same thing. When I go over the edge right there, see how it goes vertical? But it's kind of hard to for you to be able to see it, but it's kind of neat. Like if I take it over, well, I didn't want to do that. I'm going to hit undo. And if I go back and double click on it here, and if I go, maybe we can see it better on this right here. See how it took the shape of that? Move that back here. I'm zooming in, and I'm going to double click on it again because we got a pretty good way to see it here. So I double clicked on it, I'm moving it. See how it took the shape of that? Then it's back onto the normal lid, and this is on the lip. So that way you can put your text on different parts of the on your model if you need to. Now I'm going to go back to, I think we had that at 6, and I'm going to put this back here. So to kind of cap on this thing, we've done the join, the cut, and we got one more here called the modifier. I'm going to click anywhere outside of there. I'm going to zoom in with my scroll wheel. I'm going to hold my right mouse button in. That way I can pull the build plate whatever direction that I want to move it. If I hold my left mouse button in, then I can orbit. Okay? So let's create that last type. And as we said, when we imported this model, this says text shape, so it kind of throws you off like that's text. But it's not. It's actually a shape, and it's an object. And we cannot edit it as text anymore. We could change the filament color of that by right-clicking and change filament color. So we got our join, we got our cut, plus on the join, minus on the cut. Now we're going to click on that lid again, because you got to click on whatever object you're trying to put it on. Click on the T or push T, always comes up with embossed text. Now we're going to go and highlight that, and we're going to type in here modifier. Okay, so this is the type of text that we're making. Everything else is the same. We're just going to click on modifier here. And we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to just move this down right here. It's just bigger, but it's going to be easier to see. Okay. So when I click out of here, now it's 1 millimeter right there. The modifier is. Okay. So when I click out of it, let's see what the modifier even means. Let's go ahead and preview the slicer. Takes a while there. Now, what happened is So we sliced it and we don't see it. We have our join and we have our cut. And if we go back and we double click on modifier, so as we slice the model, our join and cut show up here, but our modifier doesn't show up. And that's kind of puzzling. Man, we just went through that work to do that. Why doesn't it show up? Well, let's go back to prepare. I don't think we can do it from preview. You can't really do much from preview. Sometimes I'm amazed, though, that some things actually work from preview. Okay, it's not going to work. So we go back to preview. And the reason this modifier, and one of the things that kind of sets you off on this, you get this yellowish color text here. And that is telling us that our modifier is the same color as our object that we're trying to use. So what we got to do then is we just have to right click on the modifier. And remember, I'm going to right click on the modifier. I could edit the text or I could change the filament. So I'm going to change that filament to our black filament on 3. Okay. Now nothing looks like it changes because it's going to change after we preview it. And the difference between the join, the cut, and the modifier, like we said, now see it shows up here now. The join is going to protrude out from the face. The cut is going to cut into the face. And the modifier, we have more control over it, being we're going to cut and fill it with a color, which is kind of neat. So I've sliced it now, and I changed the color of my modifier. Now it shows up. See how I have the black here? So I cut into it, and I was able to fill it with black, my filament number 3. Now, kind of something I want to show you here is if we go ahead and look at the bottom of that. Now that's our first customized deal here. And if I right click and hold it and drag everything back up, as I zoom in, we can see here that here's my modifier and the modifier is coming through too far to the bottom. See, we don't want it. We don't want it to do that right now. We want it to be on this section right here. So all I would do is go ahead and just double click on it, get my text to come back up. I'm in preview. You'll do this a lot too. You'll do this a lot. Nothing works in preview like you want it to because it's already sliced. So we're going to go back to prepare, and we're going to double click on the modifier text. Now this is where we're going to change that depth. So let's put that just like we did on well, I guess that was another video, but let's put it at 0.70. So we'll see it on this side, but it won't go through to the other side. And we're going to have to, if we go look right now, it won't even show up at all because we're going to have to slice it. So we click on previous. Sometimes if you change something, if there is a change you can make, you hit this right here, this square with the 1 in it, to actually reslice it. So if we hold our right mouse button in, we can drag everything around, and we can go here, and this is what we want. We want to see that we made a cut into it, but we were able to fill it. So we kind of were able to do join and cut all in one by using the modifier. Okay, so if we go look on the back side, the modifier did not go through, and that's what we were looking for. So in this exact model, if we look at this, this is the inside of the lid. So it's not even the right side. Like I said, we printed it top down because we have this lip around here. So really where we want to add our text is going to be the other side, right? So let's go ahead and I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm going to leave it all. But let's go ahead and put the text where we want to put the text. Now, we're going to go back to prepare. And theoretically, I think we can just grab the text. Let's see. wonder if we can move it around like this. I don't know. I've never tried this. Doesn't look like that's working. All right, let's just hit undo. Get that text back to where we started. Now we're holding our left mouse button here and we're orbiting around, okay? So I'm going to go upside down on this and I'm going to move it to the right here. Then I'm going to hold my right mouse button. I'm going to zoom in. So I know their customize was right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my lid because that's where I want to put my new text. It's highlighted. Then I'm going to hit T on the keyboard or put T right here. Now, if you can see this is upside down, which is fine. We're going to go here and let's just put in custom, or let's just put cust, so we know what's the difference between ours and theirs, okay? So as we got it here, I think we've figured out what we want to do is we're going to want to do a modifier because we're doing this on the top of the lid, which is printing face down on our build plate. So we're going to click that as a modifier. Then we're going to take this and we're going to move it up here. Now, it automatically flipped when it went to that, went to the deal, like went to that face. See it? Now, I selected the top face, which is my top. If I try to put this text on the bottom part, it won't let me because I didn't select that to begin with. So we can just put that there. We can go ahead and make it bold. You can change, pretty much anything you want to change here. So right now, if we hit join, this would stick out the bottom and it wouldn't print good because now we'd have to add support between our build plate. See, we'd have that coming out the bottom this way, and this is flat, this lid right here, so we wouldn't want that. We could do cut. Cut wouldn't be a problem because it would just cut into it, and as long as you didn't cut too far, you wouldn't have to add any support. But if we, do the modifier, which we're doing, so I'll go ahead and click back on there because somehow we went out of there. We want that to be modifier. It changed. So we put that as modifier, and that's what I want there. That's what I want. Now I can change this to, well, I'm going to put mod just so we know what that was, the modifier. And then I'm going to put top of lid. Then as that does its thing, you'll be able to see that's what it's going to say there. Okay, it says mod and then top of lid. Now I'm going to go ahead and double click because you don't want it to be too big because sometimes it can screw up the edges on here. I'm just going to put 6 there. Okay, so now as I go and I slice that, takes a minute to slice there, and look, that everything I just told you, it doesn't show up on there. So why doesn't it? Well, because we didn't change the color of it. So we'll have to change the color to get it to be to get it to show up. So over here in our object list, if we look at these, the modifier has the little asterisks next to the T. So the join has the plus, cut has the minus. The modifier is the one I like it the best because it cuts and fills. That's what I like. But so anyways, all we're going to do is if we try to do it right here, it's not going to let us do it. So we're going to go back to prepare. See how that it didn't come through? What we just didn't come through to where we want it to be. And that's where we want it to be, right there. We want it to be on the top of that because that's pretty much the only place we'd want to really put that. And we don't want it sticking through because we don't want to change how the lid slides. So we go back to our prepare. We right click on that cust, the one we just made over there. and we're going to go ahead and right click, and we're going to go change filament, and we're going to turn that to our 3, which is black. Okay. Now if we go back to our preview, I'm going to head a computer there because we do have that screen capture program running. And there we go. So this is their original one on the top of that lid. And this is the one we just made, mod top of lid. And there's where it says right there. Now, mod top of lid, I don't know why it does that, but anyways, you can see those are the ones that we made, and that's how we changed the color. And if we go here now and look at it, we got it where we want it, mod top of the lid, same as there, customize, but we're too deep because it's coming through to the bottom of this, and we don't want it coming through there, okay? So all we would do is go back to the, it's going to be one of our modifier ones with the asterisk, so we're going to change there. We're going to go here. Now we can, we got to go back to prepare. We're going to right click on there. We're going to edit text. And all we're going to do is take, let's see. Oh, that must be a different one showing through because that modifier one is fine. See, we only got 0.7 there. I think 0.7 is fine on that. Let's see something here. So that one says modifier. And that's what it says there. It says modifier. So if we go back here, let's see which one is coming through. And you got to give it a minute to, okay. Now this is one, this is a different one here. Let's see if we can figure out where that one went to. That was what we were going to call that one to begin with. Remember? Mod top of lid. So let's go back to prepare. And here's our mod top of the lid, this one right here. Okay, so for some reason, mod top of the lid stayed as CUST. Remember, I was going to do cust, just to show you the difference of there. So that's the one we need to change. This one that says cust on the left right here, but it says mod top of the lid over here. Because see, when we go to look at it, it's coming through. Modifier's coming through too, but we can change that. Okay. Well, modifier was one of the 3 that we first had on there. So in the prepare tab, if we don't want this to print, let's see here. Well, you can take the whole model from not printing by putting it right here. But if we want to change that, the one that says cust, we can just go ahead and right click, edit. And this is the one that's at 1 millimeter thick. And we know that's going to come through that lid. So we're going to change that back to the 7. Now, as we slice that, go back to preview, slice it, give it a minute for it to finish. And I can also push C to get rid of my G code here too. So there we go. We got rid of our mod. See our mod top of the lid. That's the one we made. You know, you can put anything there. You can put custom, you know, customize, just saying you can put anything there. You can put your name or whatever's in the little container. So that's where our mod top of the lid is. And if we look at the identifier over here, for some reason it's saying cust. And I remember writing cust in to begin with. So if I go to prepare and I type this, click this, double click it. Yeah, I think the computer just isn't updating that because it's so slow. But anyways, it said cust up here to the top to begin with, okay? So anyways, let's go ahead and if we want to get rid of these, I'm going to right click, hold in, and drag. And so to get rid of everything on here that we don't want it to show, all we really need to do is just make them the same color as our gray box. So if I go here click here, change filament. I'm just going to make it the same color. Do the same thing right here. And these will be disappearing up here. You can still see where it's cut into it. But I just want to kind of give you an example of what we do here to just actually make what we want. Change filament, go back to generic. So now we'd have nothing on this side when it this one, like if we slice this right now, everything pretty much went away because we changed the color on it. Now the cuts and the join show up because you can still see those. So if I wanted to put, say your name was Bob or whatever your name is, I'm going to select the lid, the bottom. I'm upside down. I'm going to select that lid. Got to get back to prepare. You're always going to forget that. I always do. I'm going to hit prepare. I'm going to select the lid. And I'm going to push T, or go up here and push the T. I'm going to go here. And I'm going to type in Bob. I'm going to make that a modifier. I'm going to move Bob. I'm going to click on him and move him. See how it changed? It changed to be on this surface. And even though I got this one up here, this one's not going to show up because it's the same color. It's already over here and it's already won, my gray. So I'm going to go and take this and make this like, I'll make it 16, see what that does. So that's pretty big. All right, so now I'm going to just click anywhere out of here. As I go over here, I'm going to have a new text that says Bob, and it's a modifier. It has the asterisk there. And I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to go change filament to my number 3, my black color. Now when I go and I preview this, we're going to see Bob cut out and inlaid because it's a modifier. And we see Bob on the lid on the inside, and we don't, none of this stuff is going to show up because we would just change these. Like these right now, if I just wanted to get rid of these two deals here, even though they wouldn't, well, this wouldn't matter because it would screw up the way that worked. All I would have to do is go to join, go back to prepare, and I would go to join, right click, edit text, and I would just put the join one, we could just put that back to 0. And it disappeared there. See that? So that wouldn't show up. The one that says cut, we would just get that. And that wouldn't matter because it would be cutting into it anyways. I could edit text, and I could just put that to 0 also. Okay. Then it when I go to cut that, let me cut it right now. Now, Bob, this is the inside of our lid. We want Bob on this side, or on the top of our lid, which is next to our build place, but we don't want Bob on the inside of the lid because that will screw up how it goes back and forth. Now, I did take these out of alignment, but it really doesn't matter because we're printing both of these differently, or we're printing them on the same. But you always be careful of your alignment of your parts if they matter to each other. So let's go back to prepare because I don't want this coming through on my lid. So I'm going to click on Bob. I'm going to go back to prepare. Now see how it lets me, even though I'm still in preview, let's see if I can, yeah, see I can't change that, but I could change the name of that. Let's go back to prepare and right click, edit text. And I'm just going to make it so Bob doesn't come through. I think we figured out that like 0.8, I think 0.8 doesn't come through, but let's see. Let's grab that. Let's go to preview. Through here, and Bob is not coming through there now. Okay, so we go look, Bob is on the right side. That's what we want. and it's not going to screw up the way our slide mechanism works there. So, man, I've gone through a lot here. I was only going to make this 20 minutes. It's actually 45 minutes, but I really think if you pay attention, you pretty much have all the knowledge you need to add text or edit text onto your STL models. And I will be making a ton more videos, but I do want to make a video to show you how to edit your scale, your STLs, because when you actually scale an STL, like if we just went to this STL and we hit scale, we would actually, so if we select it and we go up here and we hit scale, because say you wanted to make this a much larger box, like 70 millimeters or something, and you hit scale and you just start lifting up on it, and that's great. Man, you're able to scale that to whatever you need, right? Well, no. If you notice that lip on the top of the box right here, that lip is growing as I scale this up and down. So I'll make a video to show you what we'd want to do, and we can do this in Fusion 360, or we can do this in the slicer that we're in right now. What we really want to do is we want to cut this in half and then scale the bottom part so we're not messing with this lip part. Now see how big that lip got? If I hit the undo and go back, you can see how much smaller that lip is. So it's just, there's just all these intricacies of how this stuff works. None of it's hard. It's all simple, but I don't know. That's one thing you're going to learn about getting involved with 3D printing or CNC. Anything that involves G-code and this kind of technology, you're going to be tweaking with that. Like I've spent days, trying to get cutters and stuff to mill a cylinder, with the right texture on it and the smoothness, and on parts with different kind of steels, and just sometimes the littlest change you make can make a part beautiful versus one that you don't even know if you're going to be able to sell. And that's in the machining part of the industry. Same way though when you do printing, and everything matters that you get efficient to what you're doing. And once you learn it, I would be willing to say I use 30 programs on a regular basis. So even like embroidery programs or whatever, I work on a lot of embroidery machines. So whatever programs you're using, I suggest that Corel Draw, any of them, Adobe Photoshop, any program that you use, I really suggest that you go into that program maybe once a week or once every other week and actually make something or draw something, or use that program to keep your mind refreshed on how everything works so you don't have to relearn it as you're coming back to it. So my name is Rick. This is iWatchILearn.com, and I hope you learned something. And any questions you have, leave them in the comments. I'm sure I will answer them, or somebody else will be able to give you the answers. Please note, when you're adding joining text, you can usually get away with about 1 millimeter overhang, which protrudes out of your face of the surface that you're adding the text to. If you do more than 1 millimeter, then generally you'll have to add some type of support.